Alright guys, here we go. Let's knock out this review. Number one, coterminal. Remember coterminal last week, we would add 360, subtract 360. Well, today we're in radians, so we're going to add 2 pi and subtract 2 pi from 7 pi over 6. Remember the way we do that is you double the denominator. So you make the 6 become 12 pi over 6 because 12 over 6 is 2, so it's really 2 pi. Add those, you get 19 pi over 6. That's the positive answer. And then you get the negative answer, you just subtract 12 pi over 6. Because if you do 7 minus 12, you get negative 5 pi over 6, and there you have that one. Number two, find the complement and supplement. Remember, complement means 90, supplement is 180. Well, 90 in radians is pi over 2. Sorry about that, that's pi over 2. And supplement in radians is 1 pi. So to find the complement, I'm going to do pi over 2 minus 3 pi over 7. See what I get. Now for supplement, I'm going to do pi minus 3 pi over 7. Let's see what I get. Okay, I gave you a shortcut to subtract these things. Remember what you do is you take the two denominators, multiply them together. That's 14. Cross and multiply. That'd be 7 pi over there and 6 pi there. So if we do 7 pi minus 6 pi, that's 1 pi over 14. Guys, that's it. The supplement, you might want to go pi over 1 just to make it look like two fractions. Multiply the bottom. 1 times 7 is 7. Cross multiply 7 times pi, 1 times 3 pi. So 7 minus 3 is 4 pi over 7. There it is, all there is to it. Number three, convert 315 degrees to radian measure. When you convert degrees to radians, remember we divide by 180 degrees and put a pi with your answer. That's all you do. So I'm going to punch that in my calculator, punch in 315 divided by 180, then go math frac. When I do that, I'm getting 7/4, so my answer is going to be 7 pi over 4. Remember, put that pi back in your numerator. All right, number 4 through 7, find the reference angle. And then remember, you can use your first quadrant paper if you have that. So the reference angle for this one is 30 degrees because 210 is 30 away from 180. So I'm really thinking, what is cosine 30? Well, cosine 30, looking at my paper, that's square root of 3 over 2. And to figure out what sign goes in front of that, if it's positive or negative, I'm going back to 210, thinking about what quadrant that is. That's the third quadrant. Cosine is x. X is negative in quadrant 2, so there's both answers. There's your reference angle and your exact function value. 270 is 90 away from 180, so the reference angle is 90. So think about sine 90. Look at sine 90. Sine is the y. At 90 degrees, sine is 1. To figure out if it's positive or negative, think about where 270 is, what quadrant it is in. 270 is at the very bottom of our unit circle, which means it's y, and y is negative in the bottom two quadrants, so it means it's -1. Number 6, tangent, 210. 210, same thing as 4, so the reference angle is 30, and tangent of 30 degrees, looking back, remember tangent's y over x. So if I'm looking at my circle at 30, the y at 30 degrees is 1/2. The x is square root of 3 over 2. What happens is the 2's cancel. I get 1 over the square root of 3. Remember, we need to rationalize that, so take the square root to the top, bring the number down to the bottom. Now think about the quadrant. That's quadrant 3. Most things are negative in quadrant 3, but because tangent's y over x and y and x are both negative, that will actually give you a positive, so your answer is those two things right there. And the last one of these, cosecant is 135. 135 is 45 away from 180, so that's the reference angle. And I don't know cosecant. I'm going to do sine 45. So I'm looking up on my circle there. Sine 45 is square root of 2 over 2. But I need the reciprocal of square root of 2 over 2, which would be this, 2 over the square root of 2. Take the square root to the top, bring the number down the bottom. Those would cancel. So I'm looking at square root of 2. Now I've got to figure out if it's the negative or positive square root of 2. And because that's in quadrant 2, cosecant is really sine, which is the y. Y is positive in quadrant 2 because it's up above the x-axis, so it's positive right there. Number 8, cosine is -1/4 in quadrant 3. Find the other values. Let me change colors here so you won't get confused. First of all, secant is just the reciprocal, so I'm going -4. This is where we need to find, well, remember what cosine is. Cosine is x over r. So what they gave me in that problem right there, they gave me the x, which is -1, and the r, which is 4. All right, so remember this. R is the square root of x squared plus y squared. So I know what r is. It's 4. I know what x is. It's -1. I'm going to go ahead in my head and square -1. If I square -1, it's +1 plus y squared. I got to figure out what y is. So I'm going to square both sides. That becomes 16. On the right-hand side, the square just goes away. Move that 1 over and take the square root. Now be careful here. When you take the square root, it's plus or minus square root of 15. You got to decide if it's plus or minus. And the way you decide is look what quadrant we're in. We're in quadrant 3. Quadrant 3, x and y are both negative. So that means I'm going to get negative square root of 15. Remember what sine is, though? Sine is y over r. R is 4. That's supposed to say cosecant. How can you misspell cosecant? All right, so flip it. Take the 15 to the top. Take the number out on the bottom. There's that one. Tangent. Tangent's y over x. I found my y right there. The y is negative square root of 15. And x was -1. So that's just square root of 15. And then cotangent, I'm going to flip that one. If I flip a 1 over square root of 15, you get square root of 15 over 15. And there's that. Okay, number 9 is just asking you a quadrant question. Like, what quadrant is -350 in? -350 would go like -90, -180, -270, almost to -360, almost all the way around that direction, which puts me in quadrant 1. Number 10 through Israel reviews. I wish I could sit here and do the gestures for you. You got a +3 inside. Remember, inside, opposite of what you think. Left or right, opposite of what you think. So I'm going to say shift left 3. Number 11 has 4 inside multiplied. It's bigger than 1. That's a horizontal shrink by the reciprocal. The reciprocal of 4 is 1/4. And that's because the 4 is inside. If it was outside, it'd be vertical stretch. 12 has all kinds of stuff. First of all, it's got a negative in the front. Remember, negative in the front is reflects across x-axis. There's a 1/3 in the front this time, outside. So it means it's a vertical shrink by 1/3. And lastly, there's a -4 inside. I'm sitting here doing gestures like you can see me. Shifts left to right, opposite what you think. So I'm going to say shift right 4. Shift right 4. Okay, keep going. 13. Okay, this is the same thing we did a minute ago, but this is degrees now. In that word coterminal. Okay, 2 positive. 2 answers, so be careful. So I'm going to do -73 degrees plus 360. And I'm going to do that 2 times to see what I get. Okay, when I did that one, I added 360 and got 287. Added 360 again to get 647. Now to get the negative ones, I'm going to take the -73 and I'm going to subtract 360, which is going to give me a -433. And I'm going to do it one more time, minus 360, and get -793. All those are degrees. Okay, the same thing we had on the front side, except it's degrees instead of radians. All right, number 14, let's multiply these 2 radicals together. If I multiply them, I get 32 x6 y squared. Remember, you add exponents when you multiply. Now it's got to simplify that thing. So 32 is really 16 times 2. I know the square root of 16 is 4. I don't know the square root of 2, so it's stuck inside. When you take variables with exponents, remember you take the index, which is 2, it's a square root. You divide the index into your exponent. 2 goes into 6 3 times. 2 goes into 2 1 time. That's it. All you do. Number 15 and 16 kind of go together. It says f minus g of 2. The best way to do this is take the 2 and plug it in for x in both of them first. So if I do the first one, 2 squared is 4. 4 minus 5 is -1. And if I plug 2 into function g, 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1 is 7. Oops. So I'm going to do -1 minus 7, which is -8, because that's all you do. Okay, number 9, same thing. So now I'm plugging in 4. If I plug in 4 into this one, into f, 4 squared is 16. 16 minus 5 is 11. I'm going to do times g, so I'm going to plug 4 into g. 3 times 4 is 12. 12 plus 1 is 13. So I'm going to do 11 times 13. I'm trying to do that in my head real quick. 11 times 12 is 132. So one more 11 up. I'm pretty sure that's going to be 143. Might need to double check me. I don't have my calculator with me. Okay, so 17, factor. The first thing you always do when you start to factor, take out the GCF. And they both have a 3. So I'm taking out the 3. 3 goes into 3 one time, leaves an x cubed. 3 goes into 81 27 times. Now that's cubes, so I'm going small, big, cube root, square, multiply, change the sign, square. There it is, two-stepper. Last one, number 18. It's an equation with fractions in it. I'm going to make them go away like I always do. So I'm finding the LCD, which is 15. I'm multiplying every single number by 15. And what happens on this side, they cancel. Like 5 goes into 15 3 times, multiply by the top. 3 times 4 is 12x. This one, 3 goes into 15 5 times. 5 times 2 is 10. 3 times 15 is 45. And my second line right there, already no fractions, which is awesome. So I'm just going to move the 10 over. If I move that 10 over, it becomes plus 10. That's 55. Divide by 12. That's 55 over 12. And guys, you can stop right there. Just leave your answer. All right. Hope that helps. Hope you do good tomorrow. Need a good one. Getting close to the end. I mean, this is the last test in October. It's going to be November next week. Crazy. All right. So see you tomorrow. Good luck. Come see me.